Happy What We Watch Wednesday. Real quick, I want to be very clear, very, very clear. What's going on in this country, all over the news, is unacceptable. We are very clearly on the side of allowing citizens to be a part of this country and protect each other and stay within community and enjoy each other and exercise their rights, their constitutional rights, our constitutional rights. We're very much on the side of ensuring that we band together, that we prioritize um, all of our communities, all of the people, regardless of skin color, regardless of background, all of that. We do not condone anyway that fellow citizens of this country have been treated over the past year, quite frankly, and plus. We do not support the funding of the you know what and the you know whomst. That could go to many more causes that protect and uplift people of this community, people of this country that need those resources to live in this country, that this very complicated country that we love. And not so much at this time, but we are citizens of this country. And so just from what we watch, our condolences to everyone suffering, and thank you and shout out to everyone that is supporting those in Minneapolis, as well as across the country. If you're doing it in your community, if you're doing it in your own city, shout out to you. I just want to make sure we stand firmly on one side. We're nowhere near the line. It's not that. So welcome, happy What We Watch Wednesday. We hope you're taking care of yourselves. Check in with each other. Tej, welcome to the stage. How you doing?
I'm good, good. Excited to talk about the best show on TV.
Truly, we TJ and I have been watching quite a few shows. Tej, do you want to talk a little bit about where we're at? See if anybody else is tapped in as well. Talk about a few of the shows that you're watching that we've been watching.
Obviously, we're watching The Pit, which is great, which has been great. Uh, in season two, we started watching Wonder Man last night, which is fine.
I
What else am I watching?
enjoy Wonder Man deeply, so
I'm gonna tap back into Landman season two. I haven't tapped in. I know the finale was crazy based on what everybody's saying, so I got to tap back into Landman season two. And I have to keep pubbing this show because it's literally one of the best shows ever. I have to go back and finish Andor season two. I absolutely obsessed with Andor season one, and I started Andor season two, and then got busy. I need to get
mm,
back into Andor. Andor is one of the best shows of the last decade. It is just so well done. The fact that a Star Wars show can be that good, I love Star Wars, but the fact that they can make a show that good based on IP that is decades and decades old is truly amazing and iterative and amazing. And I just could not recommend Andor enough. So I'm gonna be tapping back into Andor soon as well.
I have not watched Andor yet. So shame
I
on
keep
me.
telling
Shame
you
on
to
me.
watch it.
The
It's
lead of
it's
what we
it's
watch.
incredible.
I know. I got to tap in. I got to tap in because I love the Mandalorian. I love all things Star Wars. But we are here to talk industry. Tej, I don't even want to beat around the bush, the oyster. There was a particular scene. I feel like every episode of Industry, with our girl Harper, especially this season, we've got something going on. But this episode, this last episode, Yasmin did a thing. And we're going to dive deep into this Yasmin and Henry relationship. It's time. We're not going to beat around no more bushes, because one thing Yasmin is not doing is beating around a bush. She's never done it. She's not doing it. Um, what a great episode, cutting to the oysters to show that she is going to do anything in her power to, one, maintain her marriage and her status with this man. She is going to suck that oyster. She's going to suck that oyster. Okay. And she's going to claim who's hers. She's going to claim her power. She's going to be very, very kind of erratic with it too. But she's most likely trying to kind of gain some control, because her man that's actually in power, referenced in last season 3, he's wielding a lot of his power. Henry is wielding a lot of his power and wants a kid. Yasmin is like, I don't know that that's how I want to be attached to you. I kind of like our little deal right here. And it was beautifully cut. Everyone knows the scene I'm talking about. This is the scene of this show. Yasmin has peed on this man before. That we really get to be very close to their intimacy, sexual intimacy, their arguments, their home, the way that they, interact with each other at work. This is a very intimate relationship, one of my favorite relationships I've ever seen on television, period. So I didn't even want to beat around the bush. I want to talk about it. Tej, how do you feel about what you saw Henry having sex with his assistant per the request and demand of Yasmin?
Wow. Like we said in episode one of this season, it is actually crazy that they're finding new, shocking, crazy ways to show us sex in this show. Uh, it was, you know, we know who Yasmin is, and we know that Yasmin can claim control. But I just think it's so fascinating that the last time we saw them, Henry is literally on a bender and spazzing out and almost killed himself. This is all in the last episode of the show. Like literally the last time we were with these people, Henry tried to kill himself. And then Yasmin talks him off the ledge and they ride off into the sunset. And literally they don't even get to enjoy that moment because the episode ends with Henry saying, "Let's having a baby," which sets up exactly what the relationship is now. Yasmin, we know, feels like a caretaker and like she's basically just gotta keep Henry alive and keep him going day to day. And she feels like
Hey
his personal
maid.
assistant. And now you want me to have a baby
Hey
too?
maid. I see you got your maid outfit on
Like
like you
I'm
always
not
do.
doing that. So we're seeing Yasmin in Tinder being asked by people like, "What are you doing here? Like, what status are you in this meeting?" Now she's fighting the battle at home. She's dealing with this assistant. We see that the assistant gives her the information that she fucked the journalist guy or almost fucked the journalist guy or whatever happened there and found out about his motives later. She tells Yasmin, which is probably the worst possible person to confide this in, because we all know Yasmin is going to use that information to her advantage, no matter what happens to this little assistant girl. Little assistant girl is now in the middle of their relationship as a sex thing because she's joined in on their sex life, and Yasmin's just. I thought that she was doing some cuck shit. She wasn't doing some cuck shit at all. She was really the one controlling everything,
It was
and
crazy.
she's avoiding getting pregnant at the same time. It is just insane the
I
amount
want
of power that Yasmin is using in this episode.
it. That's exactly that. Sex is about power in this show quite a bit and leveraging it and using it as a tool. I sound like a broken record, but the show just does it so well. That's what they're doing. If you're not realizing what's happening and why, and if you or anybody or see anyone that's like, oh, complaining about sex, this sex in this show always moves the plot forward, always has full on meaning, especially with Harper, and we'll get to that. But TJ, I want you to tell the chat what you said to me about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the scene. You text me, you were like, yo. And Tej is notorious for doing this no matter what. He's going to put two people together to have some sex. And what did I tell you, Tej? What did you say? What did I say to you before we cut to the scene of Yasmin appearing to be a cup, but smoking her cigarettes, okay, in that Adolf Hitler ass place? Or Hitler, not Hilter. I don't see. I don't even like that guy so much. I can't even say his name. Tej, what did you say to me, and then what were you right about initially? Before we really get into the assistant too.
I had felt like going to backup episodes, but right there was the scene that we see with Yasmin and the assistant alone. Uh, it's pretty clear that there's some sexual tension between the assistant and Yasmin, and it goes back to the episode before where she asked her like, "Do you want to stay with me?" And then the assistant's like, "Okay," and Yasmin's like, "No, never mind." But like they were both kind of lingering in that moment, and so you could tell there's some attraction, or at least I think there's attraction on behalf of the assistant to Yasmin. I think Yasmin may just be using it to her advantage because, again, the assistant also, when she tells the assistant to take the night off, the assistant tells her, "Well, I got to hear that directly from Henry or his uncle." So it's like a power game, right? So Yasmin, I felt like there was some sexual tension, but I didn't know whether Yasmin was sexually attracted to the girl. But when we
Yeah,
go into the,
I'm gonna,
go ahead.
yeah, I'm gonna semi agree with you, right? Because what did I say to you? I'll say it. I was like, well, Cheech, you do this all the time with every fucking show we watch, but with this one, this is industry. You're correct. Anytime Tej is gonna call it, y'all. I'm telling y'all. If Tej senses sexual tension between two characters on a TV show, in industry, he's right 100% of the time. Because I didn't think that we needed that. And so I was shocked. This show still manages to shock me. My thing about the assistant and Yaz is I don't think there's any attraction. I think there is a power at play on both ends. I think that the assistant is very attracted to Henry, very attracted to Henry. Typical assistant boss. It's the easiest trope in the world. But Industry HBO, of course, shout out to Mickey and Conrad. Like, y'all are just incredible. Instead of just letting it be that normal kind of trope, we flip it on its head and we put the wife in it and we make her control it. She's not affected by it. She's not sad by it. She actually fucking encouraged it. She was like, actually, yeah, I know you want a little assistant, little boss. I mean, y'all spend all the time and she do whatever you say and you want to wield your power. Do it in front of me. No questions. Shut the fuck up. Do it right now. And I really appreciated that. I don't think that there's any attraction between them. And I think I'm a little bit right about that because I think we would have seen it in that scene. Um, like, yes, she sucked her oyster, but I think that was a power play. So I think afterwards, like, sex occurred because it did and there was need to be, but I don't think that there's a mutual attraction. Like, if there was no kind of powers at play, or if they weren't working together, I don't think it would have happened like that. But I want to focus on the assistant a little bit and welcome Edwin and welcome One Humble Line to the stage. How do y'all feel about the assistant specifically? Because we started this season with the assistant. So we shouldn't be shocked at all that one of our mainstays, one of our main characters of this ensemble cast is sucking her oyster. We shouldn't even be shocked because we started like that. Like, they know what they're doing in the writer's room. Edwin, talk to us.
It's not surprising, but it was certainly like in the moment, it's like, oh my god, like it's they're actually doing this. So with Haley, that's the assistant's name, is just like you just know like whenever uh, a new cast member is in the show, you just know that Conrad and Mickey are just gonna have them do some incredible things and also some sicko type of activities. So it was certainly interesting to see like how this dynamic was between Haley, Henry, and Yasmin, and also it just shows that. Also, I felt like this episode was subtly about like Yasmin and
Henry.
no, no,
Mhm.
what Mahala's character, I'm sorry. I don't know why,
Harper. Oh
like,
my
Harper,
God.
yeah, oh
Oh
my
my
god, yeah.
doll.
I'm I'm
Okay.
sorry. Harper and Yasmin somewhat dealing with their
Mm,
family history because after Yasmin finds out about her aunt not really following what she said and still dealing with delirious devious activities,
mhm.
she's still like enabling Henry, who's trying to just do things the right way, try to be a CEO, even though he's still cracking because once he gets pressured, he just like he just stays still. And Harper just doesn't want to deal with like family, just wants to work because she knows if she doesn't work or have anything, she's a nobody.
There
So
were
that
a lot
was
of references to family in this episode. Good call.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it was certainly like if we didn't follow the last episode or what we've seen with Harper, it's certainly been like, oh, these people are just so broken that they just go back to what they were not born with, but what they were raised and kind of know
Mm-hmm.
what they're good at or what like they can be able to survive with, even though it's gonna be really detrimental to them in the future. Like already, like I already feel like I already knew like when Haley met, Yasmin in the hallway when she was sleeping, and Haley was like, "Oh, you don't mind if I go to bed with you?" Like, as a joke. Yasmin was kinda, like, shrugged it off as like, "Yeah, whatever." But you just know,
Yeah.
like, whenever someone is in Yasmin's range, Yasmin's a freak, just like her
I want
father. I mean, her father's way worse, but
right.
it's a different type of freak.
Yeah, I wanna hang on that for a little bit. I want TG, you and I can talk a little bit about Yasmin's kind of like approach to things. I think we've got Harper down, but I think it's time we really like dive into Yasmin in a little bit too. So good call there, Edwin. One humble line. What are you thinking? What are we feeling about Henry's assistant Haley?
Yeah, hard to tell what's going on with Haley. Um,
Mhm.
but I've been thinking a lot about. with these family, not just the family dynamics, but with like the social class dynamics. These
Mhm.
people who are in these ultra wealthy like tiers of the society, they don't really look at people as like on their level, and I think in their minds they kind of I forget the word for it, but essentially they don't look at them as people, so they don't really even consider like how they're actually treating them,
Right.
right?
Doesn't even
And
come up.
and so it's really interesting to see Yasmin kind of play into this because when she's got her own kind of control thing going on, and then on top of that, she's got issues with people taking her seriously, which has been a theme, a running theme for her throughout this entire show. It doesn't matter if she's working with this family or if she's working at Pier Point. No one takes her seriously, and I think as a reaction to that, she tries to look for weak people to take advantage of, or at least to try and control them in some way. And I think Henry has kind of shown her like, hey, I do
Mhm.
have this weakness, and now she's kind of latched onto that. But she also knows also very vulnerable, because the whole point of her being in this marriage is so that his uncle will make everything go away about her dad.
Never forget. Right.
So like it's really interesting just to see how like where she decides to kind of like play into these dynamics and remove herself. And then as for the assistant, I mean, you just know she's my take is she's just going to wind up using all this information towards the end because she
Okay.
has this kind of weird relationship with this reporter that she hooked up with, didn't hook up with, unclear. He was just there in the morning and she
Yeah. One thing this show's gonna do is just kind of like skim over some stuff that we kind of need
What
some answers to.
yeah, that was
do
wild.
y'all do y'all think there's a reason why they so they obviously they left it unclear, and I don't know if I thought much of it in the scene, but now having like to revisit it when she's relaying the story and the fact that she is unaware of whether something happened. I wonder what the do you think there's some kind of narrative purpose of why we don't know that information yet? We haven't spent a lot of time with that journalist. Like maybe that's going to come when we spend more maybe more time with him as opposed to time with her
I
with the
I fully agree. That was going to be my question too, right? Like specifically with Haley, is Haley trustworthy in this aspect? Do we care if she's trustworthy? Tej, I think most specifically, I think there is a narrative meaning there, and I think there's a reason why her and Yasmin are, going the usual industry HBO route with being sexually intimate very quickly and inappropriately. But I think there's something there, right? Because they have that kind of concept in common, right? Yasmin's kind of moving through this season and in this show where she has more and more power. Not going to say that she was a Sweet Pea at one point, but her and Sweet Pea were like kind of at the same level, like Yasmin was at Pure Point. And then we've slowly seen like Yasmin kind of build, and we know her vulnerabilities. And I wonder if there's some sort of something where it's like, because she had that other lady that she also supported through her vulnerabilities and her kind of past with, assault and things like that. So I wonder if Haley is just like every time Yasmin like just laser focuses on someone that might be in a place of like struggling with other people using their careers or wielding their power over their sexuality or their attraction with her. Teach, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that that makes a lot of sense, and I think unfortunately we're seeing like obviously Yasmin's not the best person, and neither is Harper, but like the
Neither is
fact
anyone.
like as soon as the assistant tells Yasmin, it's like oh I cringe for her because I'm like oh shit like you got Yasmin in this, and now Yasmin knows what you've done. Yeah, and Yasmin can spin it in a certain way. You don't even know who you're messing with right here because Yasmin, this is easy for her. This is a layup,
Right.
and obviously now you're literally in the middle of their sex life, which is going to just make things just messier. And it's just like it's just like you said, like this is a pattern for her that she's exhibited, and I just love that we're able to see it, come out in a different way, but see the same traits that Yasmin has possessed from the beginning.
Because one thing Harper's gonna do is fuck you over. Like I've seen everyone in the chat, everyone online, everyone happy what we watch Wednesday. We are talking industry HBO. But like Harper is the crux of this show. She is the protagonist, antagonist. She is the entire show. And, you know, I don't know if she's the ventriloquist of it all necessarily, but I think she mirrors, or every character around her, like, mirrors kind of her ability to just want to social climb, career climb. And it's like now we know Harper is going to fuck you over. There is no question. With Yasmin, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of where Yasmin is. Maybe it's a little bit of the conversations around Yasmin's sexual attraction and beauty. With Yasmin, we kind of, I don't know, y'all tell me, but we're kind of like, she might not treat you bad. Do we feel more sorry for Yasmin? This kind of things. David, welcome to the stage. Just a couple things to think about. David, how are you feeling about this last episode and Yasmin and Henry and the whole nine?
Well, it's a continuance to me of what makes industry for me my favorite show running right now,
Period.
which is in part does connect to what I think the last person on the mic had to say about that scene being left out, or where the ambivalence or sorry, ambiguity in what we know about the oh my gosh, I forget that actress's name, but the lady that slept with the reporter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, that situation to me, one, I do think most things with this show are intentional. So if we don't know, I think there is something down the road that it is going to be revealed, in that, whether it's the case of what was already said about the arc being that we're going to find more out about that journalist, or whether it's just we're going to
Definitely.
find more about her and kind of how she moves. Either way, it all points to me that this show is excellent at things that we on oftentimes move in one pole or the next. This show is very much about the tensions between spaces of good and bad behavior, spaces of good and bad interactions, and spaces between good and bad in and of itself. And I just really think a lot of these characters are um, they're obviously toxic, but I also think the show is called Industry for a reason, because I think it is always pointing towards the industry is toxic. Therefore, there is no one that escapes this, that is going to eventually, if we see people like Sweet Pea, what we're going to see their journey be, and you can already see signs of it, is that
Yep.
you have to adapt and learn to be vicious. They're going to turn you into the pack. And so the show is constantly playing with these tensions, because even within that world, when there are a person has clearly been victimized,
Right.
the way in which they might deal with it is going to kind of mix in with the way that this industry moves, and what the hunger, I think also it's what is constantly talked about having people like Harper and having people like Eric Tao being the basically the heads of this show,
Yep.
that they are both also people that come from a place of their ethnicity, and they didn't have money coming in. And
Yep.
so that kind of, again, tension between people that you would most likely, and again, especially in our time right now, with if you're more on that liberal to radical side, then
Right.
you would take their side immediately. But this show wants to play with that a little bit and show that, again,
Yeah.
what it's still ultimately siding with the people, but at the same time, it's pointing out that in order to make it, this is the thing that we talk about when people lose their souls on their way up. It's
Yep.
This show is about depicting that. So I
Yep.
love this
And
season and the continuance of that.
yes, I agree. In what we watched chats for the last 3 years prior to this season coming out, we've been day ones. That is exactly what we've been talking about, and it was very heavily discussed seasons 1 and 2 as we move through the episodes. The industry will eat you alive, spit you back out, reward you in ways as well, though, right? Because we've seen Harper go from masturbating in front of a Zoom in like a 200 square foot little like dorm room to now she's got like crazy money, crazy space. And she's been all over the world just like making her fucking money, but also like she's getting eaten alive in the same way. She's had so many failures. She's poisoned by the industry. And so we get to see whether you call it the evolution or how all of these characters devolve. Either way, there's these like really impressive changes with everyone. And to your point, you see them all just get sucked into the shit. And then we, as the viewers, as the audience here at what we watch, we're like, why are we none of this stuff? If we were a part of any of these things in real time in real life, there would not be this nuanced conversation, which is why I love talking about TV shows, because it just does such a good job, to your point, of playing within those tensions. Like, kind of feel sorry for Yaz. Maybe Yaz might not be so bad. Well, Harper is a black woman and she has struggled a lot. Like Eric Tao, like what did he say in this episode? I've lived a life full of leisure, and I've lived a life just focused on work. And I love that line. I love that line. It was so important to this show, I think. And he was like, "Look, it's something somewhere in the middle." And I think that's like, Tej, I think you gotta say like the mission statement of the show. I think it's like it's somewhere in the middle, guys. And everyone's just struggling to find that like balance, and everyone fucking sucks at finding that balance. Tej, go ahead.
I wanted to get into the Harper Eric Tao of it all. So obviously, we got a lot of Harper and Eric time in this episode, and we've seen a lot of just those two in a room figuring out whatever the hell they have going on around them. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the tone of their discussions and the nature of the relationship has shifted a bit. I just wanted you to talk about what you felt about their interactions and kind of where things went on the family side with them and where things went in their conversations about the fun they're starting to.
Let me just be very frank. Edwin, I saw your hand up. Is your hand still up? Let me just be very frank. This is gonna be a fucking disaster. If there's any evidence of how things went in Pierpoint, this is going to be a disaster. If it's not evident, it already is. But I think, and when it's gonna blow, like when the thing is going to implode and explode upon itself, I think is when both of them decide that they are above each other, and or there's a significant disagreement. Super easy. I think the show's already alluding to that's how these things happen. We just had the Tinder thing happen with two really long-term friends, and then his bestie just used all of his vulnerabilities, all of his things that he just thinks he's casually saying on the phone. Hey bro, yeah, I'm getting drunk with these hoes. Yeah, you be getting drunk with these hoes. It's not okay contractually. Like, you're not fit to run this company, and I want to do this. Same thing's gonna happen with Eric and Harper, but I think they're gonna like edge us. I use that intentionally. I think they're gonna edge us for quite a bit with Harper and Eric. That's why they're doing all this. And let me be clear also, Eric is fucking weird. I think y'all forgot how weird Eric was, and I'm glad that they didn't mince it when they brought him right back in. Like, Eric is weird. That's the nicest thing I could say about Eric. He's a fucking weirdo. He's gonna cross lines constantly and then try to pretend like it's not okay. That's why they referenced that little scene with Yasmin back then. It was like, no, like, you're a fucking weirdo, bro. And I think that's gonna come up. And Harper does not do well with weirdos. Harper does not like for you to really like her because she don't like herself. That's the T. Edwin, go ahead. And teach back to you. Anybody else, raise your hand.
Real quick about Yasmin, I do
Mm.
feel like it'll be quick. I do feel like she's not gonna show up to the moment of like this is wrong. I really messed up because she's had like an instance before where she got confronted about her dad's past from that woman that told her your dad did this to me at a young age, and then when she walked away, she told the butler get rid of her.
Yep.
And I
Mhm.
feel I remember if there was when she was working with Nicole and that new young woman that told on Rishi that was like, "Oh, Nicole, she touched me and it was inappropriate." I don't think Yasmin told her I have to go back, but certainly like Yasmin shows like she's not up to that moment, but also she's not confronting her trauma. And it shows that it parallels with Harper that she's not confronting her trauma. So certainly I feel like we're definitely gonna get more unraveling from Yasmin and Harper. And back to Eric and Harper, I just love that scene of them like at the breakfast, just like trying to smooth over the rich people saying like, come on, join our fun. But it's like everybody's like, you guys don't have solid information. And when Harper does her thing, Eric just like looks at her like, oh my god, she's doing that thing again. And when he called their old colleague, Wynham, I forgot his name, but
Mhm.
he was like, "Oh, I'm working with Harper." he was like, "Oh, the unforgettable, forgettable memories of
Right.
of the past," and it's so funny because they know like it's gonna be a Zeppelin plane just on fire because we know what's gonna happen,
We
and
know what's going to happen, and we're
but
gonna be here for the crazy ride.
But what I loved is, like, when his daughter came, Lily, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, you must be her." The way she said that, it was like the other woman in Eric's life, like a mistress or the woman he's cheating on the wife with, but no, it was just Harper, who he definitely has a kindred relationship with more than any other woman than he has probably has in his life because he's like, "You see the world that how I see it too." So
Yes.
even though like we know that they're gonna something's gonna happen between them, that they're gonna betray each other, and it's not
Oh,
gonna
for
be
sure.
good.
For sure, for sure. Tej, I want you to expound upon it too, but like, thank you for bringing up the daughter, Lily, because I mean, this show is just so fucking good. Like, they just know what they're doing. Every time they introduce a new character, they don't miss. You're always like, who the fuck is this? And they come in swinging with this like really piercing, sharp, like big personality, but like there's not a lot of dialogue. And she's like a kid, right? But she's not a kid, and so I love that they kind of placed her and positioned her in that room where Harper and Eric are building their business. And she's like, "Oh, you're the girl." Because it's like, of course, a child is like watching her father in this fucking room that is referenced multiple times. Like Rishi walks in, it's like, this is okay. I guess this is happening, right? Sweet Pea's like, what the fuck? Okay, can you imagine your child being like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk to mom about this because this is fucking weird. Like, I just love how they introduce these characters. Teach, you said that before in the last episode that we chatted about. Like, they don't miss on ensuring that you understand exactly why this character is here, and it adds to every single story that you know about the characters around it. Go ahead, Teach.
I want us to get into the moment where, so we didn't even talk about it, but Eric is now personally invested into the firm. He's putting $10 million in of his own money, which obviously he's going to lose because it's going to be a fucking disaster, just like you said. Or at least they're gonna hold the threat of him losing it. We're gonna see him break down when he thinks he's going to lose it, even if he doesn't actually lose it.
Oh, it's gonna be
Uh,
glorious.
but when he offers to put money into the firm, he says, "I'll put money into the firm if you just tell me one real thing about yourself." And Harper refuses, and I think that really goes towards how Harper views partnership. It's not really about the one little thing. Eric is basically saying, if we're going to be partners in this way, real partners, like really leveraged in this thing, I'm going to show faith in us. $10 million of my own personal money, basically my whole life savings to this point. Everything that I've scrounged up and gone out there every day and worked for is now poured into the walls of this place that we're building or this business that we're building. But I want to know something real about you that's like actually real, not the bullshit you feed everyone, including myself. And she just flatly declines. She just like, no, like I'm not doing that. And I think it says something about how Harper views
Harper,
partnership. She has been a horrible partner throughout her time at Pierpoint, throughout her time. And
horrible.
it's just, you said she lets people down. She made promises in this episode. She promised Sweet Pea that, okay, I'm not going to up and leave this time, but she doesn't give a shit about what happens to Sweet Pea at the end of the day, or she wouldn't be moving how she'd be moving out here. She broke up with her boyfriend. She's going to offer him a job.
Why did she break
Harper's
up with her
notoriously,
boyfriend? Because
she
he took
broke up
her
with
on
her
a date and said he liked her.
because he took her on a date and because he was on time, I guess. I don't like. She's notoriously horrible to people that she works with, and now she's in partnership with these people where she's the boss. And I just think it's fascinating her views on partnership, given that she doesn't want to open herself up to Eric. She can give a shit about being actually intimate with Eric. She's just about money, and when the time comes, she'll burn him just like she's burned everybody else. And so I just think that dynamic is so interesting.
I think so too. Like Eric is definitely trying to show, like, they're gonna show the age difference. There's a significant age difference here, and they're gonna show it. Like Eric is like, all right, I have the money. And I don't know. Like, I think Eric has way more money than that as well, but I think this is a significant investment. And that's why he's like, we have to build, right? But Harper doesn't trust anyone. Everyone's out to get her. She knows anybody will fuck her over and she'll be fuck you over first. And she's just, a hurt people billboard. Like, she will never, ever, ever trust Eric. She will convince everyone. She will use everyone. We talked about this in the last chat, where how she saved Rishi from his criminal background, all the kind of stuff, and made sure he stayed afloat and has him doing criminal stuff yet still. Does this person
We
actually
didn't
care
we
about
didn't even talk
anyone?
about the fact that Sweet Pea thinks that he's a murderer. We didn't, because of how they left it. We didn't know that people might think that he did it. Like we weren't updated on that investigation. But Sweet Pea, as a person who's worked with him and knows him, she knows he's a piece of shit, and she thinks he's actually a murderer. And Harper is just putting him in the room without telling anyone. That's just like, that's not being a girl's girl. That's not being a good boss. That's against HR. There are a million things wrong with this, and it's just, this is how Harper be moving around.
This is how Harper be moving, David. I see your hand up. Thank you for it. Go ahead. This is how Harper be moving, boy.
Does Harper even care that he might have killed his wife, or does she just trust?
No, she already got him doing her dirt. She don't care. She's nuts.
Rishi is desperate and will always be desperate because he doesn't know how to handle his
and
gang
and that
attention.
that actor, oh god, I feel horrible, I forget his name. He joined the chat last year. He was amazing. He's great. That desperate is the word. Like, you have to really embody that as an actor, like the constant desperation every time he's on screen. It's like there's like, just this like really anxious music and just breathing really hard, and it's like Rishi can't just calm down. Rishi, that's why you're in
Nah,
the
he can't
situation
calm
you're
down.
in, but he can't. David, go ahead.
So,
Uh,
No, I want
oh, sorry.
the other David. Are you also David? Ah,
No, my name's Devin.
oh, Devin. Okay, David. David had his hand up. You're next, Devin.
Actually, I do think Devin was. I saw his hand before mine. I think.
Oh, okay. Thank you, David. Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, I kind of forgot some of my thoughts, but one, I personally don't think Eric is weird. I just think he's a very lonely old man.
Ah,
Like all of last season, or was it the second season, whichever season it was when they went to the shoot, and he kept asking people, like, do I fuck like a young man? Like, that's his entire life right now is, do I feel young and will
okay,
someone love me? I think he's just
okay.
lonely.
Devin. Okay, are these like mutually exclusive? Can you like, what's the line between old and lonely? He literally took Yaz on a date after all that she had already been through, and was like,
Yeah, trying to proposition her. Yes, yes, understood.
with leveraging, still in power, leveraging like jobs and money and success.
Which goes to my second point. I think someone on here said that like this show says like the morals are somewhere in the middle. I don't think that's true at all. I think everyone knows exactly where they are and they've all crossed the line and they're willing to stay there and they want to stay there because they know that with high risk come high rewards. And
We say that a
so
lot.
like I just think all of these guys, they've been compromised, guys and girls, women and men, they've all been compromised in this show. um and to go one more thing about Yaz too, I'm actually very surprised that she's acting this way, given that Henry also has had a history of like supposed history of assaulting his colleagues. And so, like, the fact that she put him in
Very
another
much for sure.
situation, I'm really surprised that she's doing that.
Okay, you're
But
not
yeah,
paying attention. You don't think Eric is weird. You so shocked that Yasmin is doing this. I
I'm
don't
not.
know. I think
It's
you need
not.
to watch
No,
season 2 and 3 again, my boy.
I'm not. I'm not shocked that if this was like a random woman,
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't be surprised if she did that.
I
But it
mean,
was
you're with
like someone
Henry.
that
Henry
actually
is
works with him, and you've already gone through this. Like, when are y'all gonna learn? And maybe that's really the lesson of this. Is like
you're with Henry. Henry is shook. I don't
these
see
people don't
Henry is
learn.
like, why are you doing this?
He was like, please don't do this.
I want to say a thing about Henry. Remind me to say a thing about Henry and his shock with Yasmin and why. But David, go ahead. Thank you, Devin.
I'm trying to smush these together because a few ideas came up as people were talking. But
Sure.
number one, as far as the middle thing, I agree. I think though the tensions they are handling are in the middle. They are not. They're
Agreed.
gray areas if you want to talk about it. But the point is, the greatness of the show is to me that it clearly has a side. It is coming at. It is definitely eat the rich material to me. It is telling you how these people move, how power moves, why people. But at the same time, it is not making it easy as just because you're poor or you're black that means you're going to automatically come in here and lighten up this world. It's that world is going to swallow you. This is
Correct. I
what
fully
black
agree.
capitalism is. This is why women end up kind of moving against women when they get into these industries. Same thing if you get into the police. The system is the system. It is not, you're not going to change it. It is more likely that it's going to change you.
You
But
can't moral your way to the top, bitch. If you want the top, get to
you're going to
fucking.
have to be nasty like them,
Get to
exactly.
fucking.
And then that's why on the other part
Right.
I somewhat agree that but relative around the idea of relativeness, that Eric is weird, yes, but he is I don't find him as a matter of fact, I probably say he's less weird than some of the other characters I've been introduced to in this show,
Not the weird
especially.
scale for industry. Tell me, talk to me.
Yes, I think there's a scale here, and I think there are a lot of people. I mean, that room when we used to live in that, the trading room and everything stuff, was full of just some of the grossest people that had arcs where sometimes we kind of, there's one that I think just appeared in this episode in the elevator, redhead guy, ginger hair guy, and he
Yes,
was
the
in
gang
there.
is back. Our Irish
Yes, and
Queen. The gang's
he
back.
had one of those arcs. He was god awful. He was saying like this inappropriateness. Eric Talen's not the king of, or he is one of many who all the men in this show. Rishi was doing that shit, just talking crazy on the floor. They are all HR fucking, walking HR receipts. And so I just think that's the temperament of this place, that everyone is on this, like, we don't give a fuck what's going on. And I also just wanted to say that I was thinking of a scene from a terrible movie, but that I always remember this one scene in
Mhm.
Crash where
Ah,
Ludacris and Don Cheadle, I think, or somebody, his brother is on, Terrence Sean actually, I think, he talks about the bus, and he's like, he doesn't like sitting on the bus because he feels like the windows are too big, and he feels like they're made big so that anybody else who's not poor and doesn't have to be on the bus, they can look at those people. And I thought about that line, and I applied to a lot of things in industry. I think, again, while you guys were talking about the trauma and Yasmin's, Harper's, Eric's, I think all of those things are a part of, I think, coming from places where you either, again, relative to each, Yasmin was on like the cusp of being like poor, especially when the stuff like her father was breaking out, and her whole want
poor.
to to break out of that, and why she dogged that woman who was sharing her films, not just of the trauma that she faced and maybe what weird things that caused, but because if she breaks down, if that suit goes through, then that was going to hurt her financially. And so everyone is so afraid. This is a great conversation for what capitalism does, is that it creates a need that is so strong. It creates trauma in people because poverty is traumatic. And the
Yes.
idea of it, just thinking of it, when you've never been it, but even instinctually, never having maybe had to eat a fucking a sandwich or crawl on the ground looking for food or do all these things that impoverish people, the worst, most impoverished people have had to do, you still know of it enough to be so deathly afraid of it and what it
Yeah.
does, that you will do just about anything to stay up there. And that is up a scale of on this show, I believe, as well, of like how the worst people are functioning. And the more money you have, the freer you are to be exactly who the fuck you want to be. And most of these people are terrible because you go back to the past and the conquerors were terrible people. So that's the soil of this country. It is made by terrible people. They created the system, and so it's going to ask of you that you be willing to be terrible as
Terrible.
well. And that's what we're seeing.
It is going to ask of you that you willing to be terrible as well. If you want to be at the top, you must also be terrible. You will not win being good. Teach, go ahead.
Mine was kind of off topic, but I've been thinking a lot about how industry is a star making platform. It's
We
proven.
talked
David
about this.
Johnson.
Yep.
David Johnson is now a movie star.
Period.
Mahala Harold has been in movies and been at the center of other things. Marissa Abella is a movie star. Like, it is a star making vehicle, and I
I'm
just,
glad you're saying movie star.
yeah,
Because
and that
that gets the internet's going. They don't like. They're like, what? I'm like, y'all not paying attention. Movie stars.
and obviously things are different in the world of today. I'm dating myself, but like, you TV was not a movie star making vehicle. Now it is, but it wasn't like that all the time. Movie
Correct.
stars were doing movies and they rarely ever went to TV, and people that were on TV rarely ever made it to the big screen because we thought, okay, those are TV actors, which are different than
Correct.
movie actors.
Yep.
And I've been thinking a lot about it. And this show specifically is a show that's so cinematic and what it's trying to evoke from the actors and actresses that make up our cast, that when you lose a talent like David Johnson, who wasn't quite in the center of the show, but he was definitely a key aspect of the show, like
Mhm.
everybody else is doing such a good job that you don't feel like the cast is somehow worse without obviously a big talent walked out of the door, and maybe he'll come
He
back, maybe
started
he won't.
bodying
And,
every role
and
he's in ever.
it's just a really well made show, and it really evokes some great performances. I really like the performance that our assistant is giving, as she's in the center of the show. At some point, the guy from Stranger Things is probably going to get more lines because he's the guy from Stranger Things. I'm interested to see what he does because I wasn't really a big fan of what he was doing in Stranger Things. But I just think that they just are able to get the best performances out of the people, and I just thought that really comes out in this episode. I mean, the stuff that Kit Harington is doing, we haven't talked a lot about it, but
I need
the,
to.
what Kit
Teacher in
Harington
my
is doing in this
brain.
show, it's just we have never seen him do this. Like it was not a guarantee that because he was Jon Snow, he could do this. Like this ain't Jon Snow, and that's no hate on Game of Thrones, obviously, which is an incredible show. But what he's got to do to be Jon Snow is a lot easier than what he's got to do to be Henry Monk. And I just that guy's got more range than I thought. I just didn't know that he had range like this, and so it's nice to see him show us he's got more clubs in the bag than what he had to do to play Jon.
You stole my thunder, but on this stage here at What We Watch, I love it. Thank you. This is what we watch. Tej, I was just about to say, we don't talk about Henry enough. Kit Harington. I don't. We need to talk about it. We've got to talk about it because the things that Kit is doing for this fucking character, I think this character is swallowing and spitting out and showing you everything that the industry does. I think Henry, like, I mean, what are we fucking talking about, guys? Kit Harington is on this show. Like, when that was announced, I remember the day I was like, that's fucking huge. Industry in its third season, it might have been the second season. I think it was third though, joins, was it second or third? Somebody check me on that. Fact check me on that.
It was the second season, I
Was
think.
it second? Yeah.
No,
Second
no, third.
season's greenlit. Second or third season's greenlit, and you've got Kit fucking Harington. But like to Tisha's point, we haven't we've seen the perfection, but like he's really Henry's character for this show is the proof that proves this one statement. There is a level of financial wealth that can be attained by the 1% of the 1% to where your financial wealth no longer matters. It is never a thought. It does not motivate you. It does not even become a thought in your brain as to why you do anything. Now, like David said, the mere thought of not having it, again, this level of wealth, they don't even have that thought. It's not even fucking possible. henry wasn't Henry wasn't like devastated about the IPO because he lost money. He was devastated about the IPO because what do I look like? What does my life mean? Right? And it's so fucking cool that we get to see Kit Harington kind of be the galaxy of industry and show you like this is what it does. Everyone in this show kind of wants to be Henry. And how many times do we see Henry wanting to freaking kill himself? Henry doesn't even want to be here. He estates upon estates, money upon money. I can start a new business today, so it can fail tomorrow. I don't care. We're gonna keep doing it. The hottest wife in the world. Everyone comes to my birthday party. But oh, my dad, took his life when he was 40. The level of wealth is so obscene that it means nothing anymore. But then we see everybody else. We see the gangs back and they're like, let's make money. Let's take people's money. Let's have fun doing this. And it's like, I think it's so fucking cool. David, go ahead. I love it. I love what Kit is doing. Kit, shout out to you. It's incredible. I think you are just like really driving this show in a way, and we don't even see a lot of him, but man, when he's on screen, Go ahead, David.
So I wanted to just speak a little bit about the movie star thing, and then that will connect to Kit Harington because yeah, that I actually had a couple of tweets from the episode when he punched the guy to death, not death, but
Damn near.
About where I tweeted about that very thing, saying that wow,
We shared, huh?
I did not expect this from him. But first of all, the movie star thing, I think having definitely grown up during the era of again the people like Tom Cruise, like literally kind of growing up with him. The year he breaks out, I'm like basically starting to come into being able to even understand what a fucking movie is.
Right.
And you have, I think, number one, it was just I think what a lot of people have trouble with movie star talking about movie stars is because the industry has not only changed, just in a general sense, but it's also changed to the point where the mechanisms are impoverished that made movie stars as we understand them. When you have streaming and the kind of damage that's done, when you have things like AI being introduced, and also you have the way that the destruction of DVDs or hard copies was starting to come back now, but that had been erased for a while. You have the Matt Damon, I think it was a clip of Hot Ones talking about that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is that the kind of movies that used to be made, the disappearance of the mid budget, I think a lot of people focus on stars mega hits. You take somebody like Denzel Washington, but the movies that actually really cemented their movie starness are the movies that had less going for them. Malcolm X is Malcolm X, but it's really a lot of movies like Fallen and things that are like these. That's what states his movie stardom, is because it's a movie that won't carry much water if you don't have Denzel Washington. That's movie stardom. And if you're not
Exactly.
even making those movies anymore. And on top of that, if the movies aren't of the quality anymore, a lot of stuff that comes on Amazon with stars trying to do the things that those movies do, they have none of that magic. They don't stick very long in your mind. And so you don't have the collection of memories with these actors that you do with the older actors, where you can just run through their library and just be like, oh my fucking God, every one of these things. I love these movies, and I love them specifically because you see the weight of the actor carrying so much. And I just think a lot of the people that we might name now, say for a very elite few, mostly white, sadly, then
Correct.
we can't go through their filmographies like that. And that's what I think is causing people to struggle. The talent is still there majorly. There's a bunch of people who have movie star talent, but what's not backing it up is the industry is not giving them. Del Orlando spoke to it best, talking about some of the older careers. This used to only happen to Black people, but like many things in the world right now, it's starting to happen to white people as well. And that's what's
Mhm.
causing panic. But quickly, just to say
You
quick,
cooking
Kit.
and spitting right now, my boy. Talk
but
about it.
Kit Harington. I was definitely number one with Game of Thrones, which is on right. That's a great show to mention because these are two of the greatest cast shows. Let's give credit to casting departments. When you go
Mm.
this deep and you keep pulling out nothing but winners, that's a
You
you
go this
thing.
deep and you keep pulling nothing but winners. We talk about
Yeah,
casting a lot. It's sick.
yes,
It's sick.
yes.
Shout out to casting directors. Y'all quietly making y'all some cash.
Yes, and GOT was another one of those shows. It was incredibly deep. And what sometimes happens with that is that you get certain people like Kit Harington, and you kind of mistake. I think I even fell into this mistake of like, well, they're servicing a role, and really, Jon Snow was not a very complex character as compared to some of the other characters on that show. In his own way, he had certain things, but it just didn't ask much of you, but to be good looking and kind of play noble. And he's an overall good guy, and good guys every actor knows, and most every one of us watching knows that those are not the most interesting characters. But so then I kind of went off of that. I was like, I don't know. And then there were those other movies they were trying to basically play off as Jon Snow, just like Pompeii and things of that. And there was just nothing that he was giving that was impressing me. But I also think a lot of times we forget that with actors, the material is so much of the work for us. Gary Oldman has that quote about, a good script being, bad script being like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and a good script being like climbing into a warm bath. And so it's just the work and the amount of what you get to play with, and the amount of what you get to show and stretch certain muscles that you have as far as acting is going to come more with the show that asks more of you, and or material that asks more of you. And clearly industry is asking more of him, and we're getting all these crazy nuances. It wasn't the beating that impressed me. It wasn't even the yelling that impressed me with Henry in that scene. It was all the little nuances in his face when he started alerting you to things he was having problems with. When the girl first mentions at that table when they were in that pub, and she says, oh my God, what did she say to him? Something about it. Well, yeah, but she's kind of knew what was going on with him and his wife, and his
Mhm.
eyes lit up in a way that I was just like, oh my God, it feels like he's gonna come
It's
through the
Yes.
burn through the screen, and then he would make these little winces in his around his lips area and everything stuff, and where his cheeks are at and everything stuff. That would just tell you like he's losing his shit right now. Sometimes he looked completely lost, and then he just had this wild man look like when the guy start, when he's watching the guy come on to that girl, and he noticed he's like, hey mate, it's stop, like she's not interested. But his eyes before that told me what he was going to say before he fucking said it, and I was just like, man, there's just so many little points and things that he does when he said, who the fuck did I marry? And the pause and the beat that he takes, but also what his face was expressing during that, the confusion on it without doing much. There's just so many things I could talk about, but it's an Emmy performance. He definitely should be on like that list, short list right
You
now
you
for
took the
whatever's going.
words. If I don't see Kit on some awards lists, you heard it here first of what we watch. I need Kit on awards list because I'm gonna tell you the scene that made it for me. And I think you touched it too. It's just like these points of like what he's gonna say. So I don't want to say simple and a bad, but like sometimes there's beauty in the brevity and simplicity of it. He says these things that like you can kind of expect and you kind of know, but you're like the way that he delivers it. Like for me, I was like, hold on, they kind of fucking cooking with this motherfucker. When he looked at Yasmin, and there's like 5 people on set at this time, right? Just like kinds of like different conversations in the background. I love that. Succession used to do that. I'm obsessed with it. But he goes, come on now, who am I gonna fuck? Kamala Harris? Hillary Clinton? Not my type, babe. Like that fucking scene, I was like, yo, Kit, you kind of him. Like, just the delivery of that. Like, who's doing that, right? I want to quickly touch on, TJ, see your hand. I want to quickly touch on to support you in everything you said about the industry. Funny enough, the industry, and shout out to Industry HBO. Happy What We Watch Wednesdays is my favorite thing to do. I love chatting film and TV. So glad you're here. David, you were kind of talking a little bit about like how you become a movie star now, right? And I feel like for 2.5 years, I just saw the internet just talking about how we don't have movie stars anymore. But I think you covered exactly what the nuance is and what we're saying. It's not like we do have movie stars. Is the industry creating this way? And like you said, it was so profound. You said the damage that streaming services are doing. And I just want to add one thing in that's been a result of kind of what you said. It's not going to prove what you said specifically, but it's going to show that there's like a result. It's because when we're talking about Denzel Washington, a movie star, right? And we define movie stars in so many ways, but movie stars, if the person's in the movie, we're watching it, right? There's just so much damage that has been done that we watch Tragedy of Macbeth, and I don't know that many people that watch that movie. And that cast is strong, but it has fucking Denzel Washington and it's fucking William Shakespeare IP. The movie has Denzel Washington in a Shakespearean tragedy, and y'all didn't watch it. The industry is changing. The industry is like there's just so much. So I just wanted to add, like, again, that's not the point you were making, but as you were talking, I was like, yeah, things are just so different now, and people's filmographies are so different, and the kind of veterans are recognizing that. And of course, at that point, you have the freedom to kind of do whatever you want. And Denzel has an article where he's like, I loved doing Tragedy of Macbeth so much. I just loved it. Tej, go ahead.
I love the point was made about. Sorry, Rondo is coughing. I love the point about material being everything for the actor. The actors are told when they're trained, like they're told, like trust the words. Like at the end of the day, you are elevating the script, but also like trust it to put you where you need to be and to put you in the place you need to be in order to evoke the best performance. And there's no greater example than what Tiana Taylor is doing in One Battle After Another, which is obviously great material, even though it might be controversial, as opposed
Right.
to like what Tiana Taylor is doing in The Rip. Like she's got nothing to do. Like it's a nothing burger performance. Same person, same actress. Probably made more money. Probably made way more money to be in The Rip than she made to be in One Bad After Another, and yet the performances are night and day. It just shows you what it means to have great material, and obviously industry has that. I also
Shout
want to
out to
say
my fellow screenwriters and showrunners. Shout out to you. Shout out to what you do for these actors. Go ahead.
facts. I also want to say the world of industry, like in the show, expanding to include other industries, it's like it's one of those decisions where it makes perfect sense, but it's also incredibly difficult to do, and they're seamlessly doing it. Like now we're in the banking industry. We didn't even mention Yasmin and Henry are getting in bed with literal fascists who have like a signed Hitler painting in their house, and these are the kind of people.
We lost you.
Sorry, these are the kind of just because of Rondo again. These are the kind of people who are getting in bed with the worst kind of people, but now we're seeing through Tinder and through their interaction with Tinder, now we're in the banking industry, which is a different industry, at least a slightly different industry than the financial industry that we were in on the Peerpoint side. But also, we're seeing kind of tentacles in other industries. We're spending time with journalists, and we've already done the media with last season with the uncle is in the media. So now Yasmin and they have control over the media. And also now we're hanging out with this other journalists, and the way they're kind of staying on brand for what the messaging is, but able to weave that through other industries, it's just an incredibly difficult thing to do that feels so seamless. It doesn't feel like, oh crap, we need to expand the story because we're in a season 4. It still feels like we're watching the original, what was really written, which we know that's not how it really works, but it just feels that way because they're just telling such a compelling story.
Yeah, I think we've celebrated Conrad and Mickey. We're going to continue. Shout out to Mickey Down. We love what you're doing with this show. I think when I look at Sweet Pea and I look at Haley and I look at what is he, the guy, the scene with him seeing all the redacted words of his work, and like I'm so excited to see what happens when this makes it out in the industry and in the world of news and entertainment and industry financial stuff, and what Harper does when that article comes out. Like, these characters that we are introduced to are so far removed from our Pure Point days. Like, we are in a completely different time period of everyone's life. I mean, I don't even know, like, they didn't even tell us how many years have passed, but we know many, many, many years have passed. And we're just like in completely different points of everyone's career, everyone's life. Eric is divorced, having sex with, hot black women with fat asses. He's like just partnering with black women. Like, honestly, Eric might be, very progressive. Shout out to Eric for supporting black businesses, I guess. Right? Maybe that's why y'all keep trying to be like, no, he's not that weird. He's fucking weird. Okay. Eric is weird. And okay, and he's pretty high on that scale of weird. But I think industry, it's just so cool to watch it because we have Henry. Like I said, I already did my spiel on Henry, and I had to get that out because I really, really like how little we see of Henry and how impactful it is. But we started this season just talking about how the sex work and all of these separate industries, like you're talking about, Teach, are like molded in and just like, like funneled into this show, and it's seamless. I mean, I don't even know that I'm invested in Sweet Pea, and they threw in a scene. Now I'm fully invested in Sweet Pea because I'm like, shit, Harper's about to fuck her over. Sweet Pea, you're about to be a part of this. And they give you the line, like there's not even any confusion. There's no, this show doesn't hide anything from you. Anything you believe and see that happens, there's a line that showed you 2, 3, 4 episodes ago, 10 episodes ago, that this was gonna happen. Sweet Pea is like, yo, I follow you everywhere and you fucking leave. Please don't do that to me again. Oh, like, Sweet Pea, please be serious, Sweet Pea. She's gonna do it to you again. she's absolutely gonna do this to you again. Uh, and you recognize it. And so then as the viewer in the audience, we're like, well, how bad are we gonna feel for Sweet Pea when it happens? Sweet Pea, you knew this was gonna happen. You seen it. You think the third time is gonna be a charm? Cut it out, girl. Harper don't care about you. Harper just broke up with her boyfriend for saying that he liked her and was on time for a date. You were useful to Harper. And I'm glad that we were able to talk all around Harper because I talk about Harper every episode of what we watch Wednesday for industry. Harper is the focus. David, go ahead, and then let me let Devin speak, and then David, and then we'll shut it down.
That is not Harper's boyfriend. That is her employee. And he he needs to recognize that. That's why she
Oh,
was so
I know that's right.
pissed.
You better support Harper.
Like, not like, I get it. Like, he's very nonchalant, but like, this is not a woman who's very nonchalant about anything. And so, like, every single time people say like, "Oh, she broke up with them," I'm like, did she really break up with them, or did she put herself in a better
Well,
position?
we are just unfortunately understanding that he is a victim in this. He definitely felt like that was a breakup. He
Yeah,
felt like that. She was just like, "You like me?"
and he
He's like,
still showed up for work the next day. He got on the elevator with them. So
"That's gonna come back to bite her in a way. I don't know, probably not this season, but." The fact that, and I love to see, I love to see women in male dominated spaces. I love to see women cheating and using people. I love it. But like the way that Harper looked at this man, like, you like me. Ugh. I didn't think this was what we were doing. Yes, we spend time at work all day and then we have sex and have dinner and stuff. And yes, I'll stop work for you. But ugh, you like me? Okay, I'm finna go. This is ridiculous. And she walked out. It was done. And
first
he was
scene we
like,
see of them is them in the bed together, and they're talking about work, even though he's like deep inside of her.
Harper got issues. And I sound ridiculous saying that because it's much worse than that. Harper has a set of issues that I can't wait to see them further unravel. David, go ahead.
I mostly just wanted to push a couple of questions to everyone, but I did want to say that I think you guys are forgetting that's not when Harper walked away. She was about to walk away, and then when she got that he was dead serious that he liked her, she actually went back and sat back down in her chair. It was some shit that is some remark he made her get up and leave abruptly after that. But when she at first she was like she didn't really believe him, and then he said he kind of sat in that space like yeah, so why wouldn't I? Da, 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 da. And then she smiled, and then she got back in her seat because this leads to a point that I feel about Harper is that I think it's important to say that Harper is reminds me of what my or not mine, but my dad's therapist said to all of us when kind of having a group thing about him, where she's like he has PTSD from again growing up poor, and then she was like he's in survival mode constantly, but he doesn't know how to thrive. That's Harper to me. She's in all of these things that she's doing. I don't think she really understands the power game just as yet. She's observant, she knows how to mimic it somewhat, but she hasn't found her own voice and like moving like that. What she is in is that she's constantly trying to survive every fucking moment, but she hasn't yet figured out how to thrive in most of these moments. And I think that's what drives a lot of her again, mixing in with her trauma. That's what drives a lot of the things that she does. I don't think she's just doing them to make power moves on people as much as she's just trying to survive at home. And she won't turn on you just out of just kind of like she's in like a strategist turn on you. She will turn on you when a moment comes that threatens her survival. Then it's hey, you got to get thrown in the wood chipper. But
That's a very empathetic way to look at it, but the impact is still the same. But yeah,
oh no, I don't think the impact changes. I feel as though the
yeah,
intentions never really matter in that regard. So I don't think the
yeah,
impact changes, but I do think it's a more nuanced view of
hmm,
where things are
for
coming from
sure.
and who is actually causing the things, which is it's always capitalism.
We
But
have the best fucking show led by this black woman. It's very meta, but yeah, I feel you for sure.
I did want to ask because at this point, this show is in season 4. I think Succession maybe lasted 5 or something like that, 6,
Four.
and 4. So yeah, I think it's fair to act at this point. They're somewhat they're not this exact same show, but they have somewhat of the same messaging. And what did the first question I guess actually would be to you, which is what is it? You said it, but what is it that to you makes Eric weirder than anybody else on the show, especially the men, and then especially Rishi and some of the other people we've seen, but also the uncle that was like that revealed that he had Yasmin's, I think, dad sucking him off at one point
Yeah, we did. We did.
when
We
he was a
did. We did.
child.
Yep. You're
Yeah, I
better
think
than
that's
your
pretty fucking
your brother.
high on my weird scale. But
I would never
beyond that,
use the term weird to describe Autumn. He's much worse than that.
okay.
That's not. Yeah. Um. So I don't agree with the Harper thing, and maybe we both need to go back and watch the scene. I'm cool with that. What I think happened in that scene, so I love this show. Tej, you tell me too. What I think happened in that scene, she did sit down. But she did not sit down because she was comfortable in being liked. She sat down because the man sparred with her and didn't back down in a moment. We like a man that can spar with you, that can banter and not back down. Because if you back down, you're pussy, and that's a little weird. Like I think in that moment she sat down and she was like, "Oh, I guess you're gonna put me in my place a little bit." Okay. Shit. And then what did he do? And I think, okay, we both watched the show, but I think he made another comment that was kind and considerate. And she was like, okay, nigga, damn. Like, nah, never mind. Never mind. I like that you were kind of fighting with me a little bit, that you were challenging me a little bit, right? Like you were giving me that thrill a little bit. But here you go, like, never mind. I'm out. So I don't think, but again, I still love your empathetic perspective. I still fully agree with that. She is just constantly operating in trauma. And so, yeah, like relationships are going to be very hard for her. Like, yes, she needs therapy. Like, relationships are going to be hard, if not impossible. Partnership, like Teach was saying, is going to be hard, if not impossible. Eric is fucking weird. I would not use weird to talk about some of the people that have explicitly done not only illegal things, but very harmful, traumatic things to women specifically. And I think we're just like a little bit concerned. Eric is fucking weird. The reason why Eric is fucking weird is because he will also do those things. But I think everyone's a victim in this of you see him as a dad. You see that he hasn't actually had anybody come forward and complain about him in a certain way. They just kind of confront him in the moment. He's a little bit older. He's also a person of color. And I think we give we give him a lot of grace. But that man is in power, has money, is fully intelligent and aware of the things that he does. Yes, he's sad and lonely. Yes, he's not like really that bad if you with it, right? The scene last season where he's kind of like it's a little bit chaotic and he's doing the drugs and doing all the stuff with the girl. Like, okay, he's like, but he will if you like allow it and you don't put up too many boundaries. I don't think he has a specific moral compass. I don't think that him having daughters has any impact on he's going to try it. And I think if you're willing to try it and you're willing to do it, you're willing to go through with it. You're willing to go through with it. You're just more tactical. You're just more strategic because you have way more experience than everybody else doing it. You know the consequences. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna see what I care about your feelings. I do. And so when we go on record, and if you ever try to come at me, I'm gonna say, well, see, I did care about them. All I was doing was trying to help them with some money. That's what I was doing. I was just trying to get to know them. That's all it was. And so he's just more strategic, but he's fucking weird. He's always doing weird fucking shit. And he's problematic as fuck, and he's dangerous as fuck too. But because he's a dad and he's like hasn't actually had anyone complain about him because no one's threatened by him. Like he's old. He's old and like an old lonely man that he seems non-threatening, but that motherfucker's a problem. He's weird. He's weird as shit. Tej, what do you think?
Uh, I think he's weird. But I do think that given like we can't compare him to the other men on the show because so many of the men on the show are outright abusers and he's just kind of
Correct.
exhibited weird behavior. But he may be an abuser too. We haven't
Yes.
other than like standard work practices. I don't think he's done anything abusive. Although coming on to Yasmin was pretty fucking close. If that's not abusive, it's damn sure on the line. That was pretty nasty shit. So I would
He's
agree that
pretty
he's weird, but
verbally
also
abusive.
I think everyone on the show is weird. I think everyone on the show is kind of bad. There really are no good people in the industry. I think that's such a fascinating view of the show because there are people who are being abused, but sometimes the people who are being abused, i.e., Harper, who has dealt with more than enough shit because she happens to be a black woman in a very white man dominated space, is not a good person. Just bad things are
Horrible.
happening to her. And you know, sometimes the victims of some of these things that's happening are also just like bad people, and so it's just they kind of have that feel where it's like everybody is operating at their worst possible vibrations, and everybody's just hurting each other, and that's the world of industry.
I think I felt the same way with Succession. I felt the same way with Game of Thrones. I don't think that this show is unique in making everybody terrible, but I think it's very unique and perfect in making you realize that like they might be a victim of the system. They might be a victim of the industry. You might find yourself rooting for, not necessarily rooting for the demise, but rooting for someone to reach their goal. And so it's this beautiful nuance of like, it doesn't matter that you're terrible. I have a feeling in me, like when you reach a goal, that I'm like, well, good for you. And I think that's so human and it's so beautiful. It's like, well, you did kind of like as soon as, if the IPO goes well, we're like celebrating for this fucking terrible. We're like, yes, good job. When Harper wins, I'm like, yes, yay, go Harper. She's terrible. She's a terrible person. What is she gonna do with that win? She's gonna fuck over the next three people that she encounters. You know, Harper has so much sex. She leverages sex as a resource so much, where in every other show we talk about people having sex at work like it's, you know, like it's the worst thing in the world. And we watch Harper do it constantly with zero boundaries, constantly. Every time Harper's at a party, she gonna find somebody to strap on. She gonna find somebody that she can kind of mull over and pillow talk with to get some information to make sure her business goes well. Objectively awful. But they people be with it. And sometimes, you know, she succeeds. So shout out to Industry HBO. Thank you guys so much. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Check in with each other. We all we got. Bye. Thank you so much. Ciao.